As I said on January 27th, 2022, the Tennessee Titans need to move on from Ryan Tannehill and get Malik Willis. That is a thing that is happening. The Tennessee Titans selected Malik Willis in the third round of this year's NFL draft. Not where I expected him to go. I'm sure a lot of other people didn't think he was going to go, and I'm sure the Titans didn't think they'd be able to get him in the third round. But that's what happened. Malik Willis is now a Tennessee Titan. And if you're a Titans fan, you got to be extremely excited about this. Malik Willis is a really good football player. Your Titans, your team has been very mediocre for a while now, mainly because of the quarterback play. They've done as much as they can to surround Ryan Tannehill with great players, and I'm a Ryan Tannehill fan. As a Dolphins fan, I love Ryan Tannehill in Miami, but that's what he is. He's a guy that'll get you to the playoffs and not get you much far. He's going to be a piece of your team. He's not going to be a star of your team. Malik Willis is going to be a star of your football team. Malik Willis is not only a really talented player, but he's going to be given a really good situation because he's not going to start game one. That is very clear just by him being drafted in the third round and by him being drafted in Tennessee. This is a Trey Lance type of situation where you get to sit him for a little bit, let him learn behind Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill, who, the way he seems like a good guy and a good leader, I think will be very capable of developing Malik Willis and helping him out along the way, and he knows what he's going to do because he came to Tennessee to do the similar thing for Marcus Mariota before he eventually took over. And I think that's the problem with Marcus Mariota is they tried too late to do the mentorship thing. They tried after he struggled to be a starter. With Malik Willis, you're mentoring him before he's going to be a starter, before he goes out and gets killed and perhaps loses his confidence, which is something that may have happened with Marcus Mariota. So I've been saying this for a while. Tennessee needs a more mobile quarterback. That's what Malik Willis is. He's a really dynamic runner. You see his highlights. He makes guys miss. He makes things happen on his legs. And when you compare that with Derrick Henry, with maybe a read option, a power option, as you should probably call it, with the way Derrick Henry runs, but if you have to have one less tackler dedicated because he's dedicated to what your quarterback could do, what Malik Willis can do instead of what Derrick Henry can do, that's going to give Derrick Henry more runs, it's going to him more yards, it's going to make Malik Willis better. It's just a good combination there. The plays that they can do, it's what they tried with Marcus Mariota, but it didn't work out. Tannehill came in and just had to run the offense because they had the talent there to win games, and Mariota just wasn't getting the job done. They have really good defense. I'm a big fan of Mike Vrabel. I think he's a really good coach. He'll definitely take care of the defense, and you'll just have to teach Malik Willis into this offense and make things work. I kind of thought Atlanta was going to draft Malik Willis just because of the Arthur Smith connection, Tennessee's former offensive coordinator, who was part of the reason Marcus Mariota was there and the offense that they were able to create. So similar play style, but Mariota goes back to Atlanta with his guy, and Malik Willis goes to Tennessee, and he's going to be the guy there. And it's such a good match. It worked out well for Tennessee. They didn't have to trade up. They didn't have to use a first round pick. They got other really good players. They they kind of just let Malik Willis fall to him. They saw in the third round, hey, this kid's still available. Why don't we take a shot? And could be one of them draft picks. I think it will be. Or you look back in a couple years, be like, how did this kid fall to the third round? Why didn't this team draft him? This team needed a quarterback at the time. Why didn't they draft him? And that's the situation. I think he's got a really good situation. A lot of times, high prospect quarterbacks, they don't go to great situations and they struggle. This is a really good situation for Malik Willis. Tennessee is a good team. They've proven to be a good organization. They've just, not many years we come into the season and be like, hey, I think Tennessee is going to win a Super Bowl this year. But now we might be starting to head in that direction. They just traded A.J. Brown, which A.J. Brown's a good receiver, so it doesn't help him out this year by not having him. But they'll have to bring in a new star receiver, and that new star receiver, his timeline will match up better with Malik Willis' timeline. So you get a star receiver, let's say, in the next year's draft, or you bring someone in, another young player, and by the time Malik Willis is taking over, you've developed a star receiver to pair alongside. They, in my opinion, may have to start looking for a new running back. Not saying Derrick Henry's going anywhere, but it might be time to start finding a guy that can come in and just limit his workload, maybe next year's draft. I wouldn't say free agency because you don't want to spend money on it, but you want a younger guy just to get going because Derrick Henry, he's starting to get old a little bit. We've seen his injury history. He's an absolute machine, but machines break down, and we've seen Derrick Henry be injured, and this is exactly what I said should happen for the Tennessee Titans. I'm so glad they did it. This is going to make me root for them more just because they did what I wanted them to do, and I hope Tennessee does really good. I still hope Ryan Tannehill does good. He's still my boy, but I'm very happy that I was able to predict this, and it just shows that my predictions, you guys got to listen to them. I've been pretty accurate on some of them, just so you guys know.